All right, this video is to help with assignment 5.3 day 2. This is the first question, I believe. And these are hard questions. So I guess first off, when we factor this apart, there's no GCF. And then this 64 is on our list of cubes, right? So 4 cubed is 64. All right, so that's a hint that I'm going to use my cube patterns. And this one is going to be the plus pattern because of the plus in between them. So I don't really need this bottom pattern here, so I'm actually going to delete it quick. So remember, there's two patterns, but we're going to use the one that's a plus. And so basically what we have is we have x cubed plus 64, and we want to factor that apart. So basically the a cubed represents x cubed. And so sort of logically then, if a cubed is equal to x cubed, then a must be equal to just x, right? You could sort of cube root both of these. That'd be a way to figure this out. But basically, a is going to equal x, right? And then for b, this 64 is the b cubed. So b cubed is 64. So basically do a cube root again, all right? Cube root, and that will get us b to be 4. All right, so basically a is equal to x and b is equal to 4. Okay, so I'm going to just plug it into the pattern and go x plus 4, so a and b, and then a squared is just x squared. A times b is x times 4, or 4x, so I'm going to minus 4x, and then square b, so square 4 is just 16. Okay, and we factored it apart. And it's tempting here to, basically here's what we have, x plus 4. It's tempting to want to like factor this part and say, okay, I could, factor it apart with x and x. But on these x cubed ones, it won't factor. And basically, there's no way to multiply to positive 16 and add up to negative 4. There's no numbers that work, right? So this doesn't factor, which means we just have to solve the parts. So since we can't break it apart anymore, we at least got it to x squared and x to the first, so we can solve those. So if we set x plus 4 equal to 0, that's just going to be an answer of negative 4. And boom, we're done. And then the other one, x squared minus 4x plus 16, is just a quadratic. So this is where we have all those methods from the previous chapter, right? And since we can't factor it, algebra steps won't work because it's got x squared and x. So the best route here is actually going to be quad formula. Okay, someone asked me in the lesson, could you try the graph method? And you could, but you'll actually always get imaginary answers, so you'll always need the quad formula on these cube questions. So you can certainly try it, but it just won't work because it has imaginary answers. All right, so here's my formula down here, and I'm going to do a new ABC from this little equation. So A is 1 from right here, B is negative 4, and C is 16. Okay, so into my formula, I'm going to do the opposite of B, plus or minus square root b squared minus 4 times a times c, divided all by 2a. Okay, and then if I do the check mark off on the side, negative 4 squared is 16. 4 times 1 times 16 is 64. So we're going to do minus 64, which comes out to negative 48. All right, and when we do simplest radical form here, there is a perfect square. In fact, 4 actually divides 48, but you want to use the biggest one possible. So besides 4, actually 16 divides 48. So if you split the 16 times 3 and then put the negative part off, and we do that because square root of 16 becomes 4, square root of negative 1 is just I, and then we have our root 3. All right, so now plug that back in. So our answers are x equals 4 plus or minus 4i radical 3 all over 2. And then since it divides evenly, divide out the 2, so we get 2 plus or minus 2i radical 3. Okay, so overall we have 3 answers. These pair of imaginary down here because the plus minus, and then this negative 4 right there. Okay, so our answer looks like this. And your answer choices might be different because I think it scrambles these letter choices, but it should be negative 4 and then 2 plus or minus 2i radical 3. All right, a lot going on these, but reach out if you need help. I can always make more help videos or go on Google Meet. All right, thank you. Have a good day.